Joining me now from Capitol Hill, Michigan Democratic Congressman Dan Kildee. He traveled from his home state back to Washington for this stimulus vote. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Before we get to the passage of this bill, I want to talk to you first about fellow Congressman Joe Cunningham just testing positive now, revealing that with coronavirus, with COVID-19. What other precautions, Congressman, are going to have to be taken considering the fact that more and more members are testing positive for COVID-19?
Well, I think we have to actually take the advice that we're giving everybody else, and that is to use social distancing, separate ourselves from one another, stay in our homes if we can to the extent possible, and try to practice what we preach. That's why the stunt by Mr. Massey was so frustrating, because he made it necessary for, I think, right around 230 or 240 members to get to the Capitol today somehow. I drove basically overnight to get here. But we have to practice what we preach. We have to protect one another, and we do that by protecting ourselves and not either spreading the virus or getting the virus ourselves that we could potentially give to somebody else.
Let's talk about your state, Congressman. The president attacked your governor, who has criticized the federal government for not stepping up enough. The president said that she, in fact, is not doing enough. Give us a sense of what is happening in Michigan right now in your state, because as of today, the numbers are growing with the 5th most cases in the United States right now in Michigan.
Well, what the president took as criticism from Governor Whitmer is simply her standing up for the people that she works for. She's asking the federal government to do a better job of having an all-of-government, nationally coordinated effort, and the president has not so far done so. So what he takes as criticism is simply her trying to represent the people that we both represent, and that's the people of Michigan. It's worrisome. We are seeing a really quick growth in the number of cases. It's frightening. Fortunately, a lot of Michiganders are following the guidance that they need to and socially distancing, staying at home. It's been remarkable the extent to which people have been willing to do that, but it's still going to be a problem, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. We need resources, and we need the federal government to be a partner with the state in achieving that.
So you've obviously heard the challenges out of New York City, the hardest hit state so far in this country with regards to the lack of PPEs, the lack of ventilators, needing as much as they can get in this state. Your governor also mentioning the fact that Michigan is going to need a lot of those ventilators, a lot of those PPEs that they're not necessarily getting from the federal government. So what is the plan inside of your state? Are you hearing any sense from Michigan car companies to help start producing ventilators if, in fact, the citizens of your state need them?
Well, of course, General Motors has entered into a partnership with Ventec to produce ventilators. It's hard to ramp up when we are so far behind on this. This is, I think, one of the criticisms that later we're going to have to really explore, is how we could have gotten ahead of this earlier. But I've seen a lot of Michigan companies step up, companies that don't have anything to do with producing PPE.
But I want everybody to be clear about that. You bring up that partnership between Ventec and General Motors. That hasn't been cemented as of yet. We don't know where that's at this moment, because while the president has teased Americans with the fact that they're going to be producing these ventilators, we've seen nothing out of that. So we don't really know where they stand, nor whether or not the American government has actually even commissioned ventilators from that partnership.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. I mean, I know they're working on it, and the problem is they don't have the full force of the federal government behind them. The president seems weirdly, strangely uninterested and unwilling to use the authority that he has under the Defense Production Act, essentially to commission companies to produce PPE, whether it's ventilators or, right now, we could use N95 masks or even swabs in order to take the tests. Gowns, face shields, all of it is lacking. The president, I think, is a little too busy trying to persuade himself that this problem isn't as big as it is. And I'm trying to be careful about being too critical, because I want him to succeed. I want this president to be very successful, because that's what the American people need. But we do need a much stronger, much more coordinated effort coming out of the White House. We did our part today in Congress. We took a big step, but we need a whole of government response, and that means the executive branch as well.
Well, let's hope amidst all of this, this phase 3 will for a time being, alleviate some of the financial concerns Americans have amidst all of this so they can take care of their health. But of course, hopefully there is a phase 4 in the pipeline. Congressman Dan Kildee, thank you so much.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.